Howdy everyone, this is LockNutz, and you're watching a map tour of Frühling by Callie. Hopefully you'll stick around to see what happens. Howdy, how are you guys doing today? Oh my goodness, I tell you what, today we get to do a map tour of Frühling by Callie. Now this little bad mamma jamma is 78.68 megabytes to download and is very cross-platform friendly. Also, it does have one required mod to download, and that is the Hessian Farm. When you go ahead to click on it, it should tell you you have to download that as well, and that is 16.77 megabytes. Now, one little neat tidbit about Frühling, that is spring in German, so that's pretty nifty. And if we go ahead and take a look at the sign right here, it says roughly, I could be wrong, "Welcome to the farm, spring, Frühling, quality from home." So that's pretty darn cool. Now this map here was also done by Callie, and Callie was the map maker for Kleinsland. So there is some familiarity in this map, not too shabby. I tell you what. Let's get a little bit of business taken care of here first. Now, I'm starting this off in new farmers mode just so that everyone knows what you would start off in new farmers mode. But one thing that does happen, you do start off with your normal dollar amounts throughout all the modes: 100,000, 1.5 million, and 500,000 per, new farmer mode, farm manager, start from scratch. You do, however, start off with all of the equipment and all of the animals in all those modes, but you don't start off with all the land. Only the land you have when you start off in new farmers mode. So keep that in mind when you're planning your strategy and how you want to move forward. But talking about machinery, let's see what you start off with in new farmers mode. Alright, so here are the items you start off with. I want to make a note right away. You do not start off with a truck here. I purchased that so that we could drive around the map. Now, starting with the small tractors, you start off with a Steyr and a Massey Ferguson. Nice little 1-2 combo. You do start off with a combination of the Dutzfar top liner, grain header, and trailer. So you'll be balling in style. Like I said, we don't have one of those. Trailers-wise, you do start off with 3 whopping trailers. One of these is actually in the bale configuration, so you can't really put any grain until you go ahead and swap it around, just to kind of keep that in mind. Cultivators, you start off with the Rab cultivator, subsoiler, combi plow, gold, not too shabby. Seeder, you start out with the Nordstein. Fertilizer spreader, the Amazon, and just as clarification, it does just do fertilizing. It does not go ahead and do lime, so if you have to do lime, you got to get something else. You have 1 slurry tank, 1 mowing deck, a Pottinger tedder, windrowers. It's a Schmazzy windrower, 1 Pottinger forage wagon. Animals wise, you do start off with the Kuhn silage mixer, the water tank, or you can go ahead and have a bunch of these different majiggers in there. Here's the water tank, the Joskins water tank, and then the Lizard multi-purpose, I guess if you want to call it that, the MKS-8. Front loader, you start off with 1 front loader tools, pallet fork, and bale spikes, header trailer, and you do start off with 1 weight, so not too shabby. A good start to get yourself going here on the farm. So now that we've looked at that, let's go ahead and take a look and see what you own on the map. Alright, so this is our map, and as you can see, there's not a ton of fields on here. They're not massive sized fields. We can actually zoom out right here, and you can see that this is actually a fairly condensed map that you got going on here. You do have all of the production facilities already on the map, so you have that going for you. When you do start off here, you do start off with a couple production things that you own already. You start off with a large greenhouse, and you do also start off with, where is it? The fermenting silo. So you got that going for you. As you can see, you can end up making silage out of any one of these items up here. So that's kind of nice. And then again, the large greenhouse. Coming back to the map here, let's go ahead and take a look at the farmland that you start off with. And you start off with field 14, field 12, and field 5. You also start off with not one, but 2 grass fields. And then this is your starting farm. Now your starting farm is kind of split up in 2 here. It's all one piece though. This down here is where your pig pen is and your greenhouse. But after taking a look at that, let's go ahead and see prices here on the map. Now, this is your lowest numbered field, or I should say your cheapest field, at $25,000. This is actually the absolute cheapest, but this is just a grassed field, and that comes in at $15,000. Now, your most expensive field is $111,000, almost $112,000, and as you take a look here, you can kind of jump around here in between all of this stuff, and price-wise, everything's pretty cheap, pretty reasonable. No reason you can't buy a ton of these fields if you start off a new farmer mode, or I should say farm manager mode, where you start off with $1.5 million. You can pretty much buy almost the whole map. So you got that going for you. There is one forestry area, and that is $93,000. We'll take a peek at that as we go along the way. But all in all, that's pretty much all you have to this map. It's very tight, it's very compact, and it is done very well. I think it's laid out pretty darn good. Once we go ahead and wander around on here, I think you'll understand and you'll see what I'm getting at. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get our pony hats on and get ourselves going. Alright, so one of the things I want to do here is I want to turn the map on the corner of the screen so that you guys can kind of follow along with me as I move forward. Now, as you can see here, looking around the farmyard, you have all these buildings, and every last one of these buildings are removable. If you do decide to go into the construction mode, you can get rid of all of them all the way through. Now, one of the things we talked about here were animals. You do start off with animals no matter what mode you start on, and you actually start off with 10 cows, 10 sheep, 11 chickens, and 1 horse named Hope. So you got that going for you. Oh man, but as we go ahead and take a look around this here, one of the things you're going to find out is there is tons and tons of storage here. Even though this is a tiny farm area, square footage wise, you actually have lots of space in here. Tons and tons of places to put things. You have a sleep trigger at your house. You have yourself a nice little drive-through port or garage. I'm not sure what you'd actually want to call that, to be honest with you. And right in here is where your grain silo is. So super, super cool. I kind of like how these drive-through ones look. Obviously, it's not super big, so you're not going to be able to drive a huge, overpowered dump truck here. It's just not going to happen. And as I said, again, you got just storage all over the place. There are buildings off to the side over here like this. It's just pretty darn slick. And you got your chicken coop set up right over here. Not too shabby, not too shabby. I'm not going to lie, I kind of like this little archway walk-through. Super cool. I mean, you don't need that, but I just like it. It's a nice little touch. Here is your cow pasture. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I were a cow, I would say, holy cats, that's a nice door. Please shut our door. I like that. That is pretty slick. That is pretty darn slick right there. And here you go. Here's how you can get in. Again, nice little setup right here. And we have some more storage for you. A nice little drive-through lean-to, I guess, if you want to call it that, and another little storage area. So, I mean, like I said, guys, lots and lots of storage on this particular section here. Not too bad at all. And here is that fermenting silo. So I'm assuming it's just you drive up, dump your stuff, and, I mean, that's it. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Dump it in, and then you can get your silage out at a later date. Pretty darn cool, pretty darn cool. Hopping on over here, you do have, like, again, another little port. And there is your manure heap, and then this is where you can go ahead and collect your slurry. Not too shabby at all. Coming up here, and there's Hope. How you doing, Hope? Nice to see ya. Oh man, I tell you what, it just looks cool. It's a nice, I don't know, I kind of like how this farm is set up. Myself personally, I'm kind of a fan of those ones where it's not necessarily tight. I don't know if you call that tight, but you have to maneuver. Maneuvering is key. So I think one of the things we're going to do here is that we're going to go ahead where we're at, kind of go to the south and work our way around the map that way. So as we turn this bad mamma jamma on and head on out, we'll get ourselves rocking and rolling. So like I had said before, the name of the map is Frühling, and translating that over into German, that stands for spring, or it means spring. Now that, personally, I don't know if that's true or not, but personally it makes me wonder, it makes me think, are we going to get, that's kind of neat, little creek bed we're running through, log down, pretty cool. It makes me wonder, are we going to get more maps? More maps going for different seasons, named different seasons? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll take a quick little pop out over here. We do have another little port over here, not too shabby. Nice little building right there. This is where the edge of the map is, and as you can see, it just kind of goes off to a tunnel. And then over here you have your sheep and then your greenhouse. So not too shabby. It's all right here. Nice little access to get in front. May want to cut this tree down. I know myself, I'd probably get caught on that. But all in all, doesn't seem to be too bad. Now, one of the things that I'm going to end up doing here, guys, is I'm going to end up driving through the fields. Not because I'm lazy, but because I want to kind of give you guys a little bit more of an idea of what the fields actually look like. And I feel like I can do that better by kind of navigating through them. So as you can see, it's relatively flat field. It's not super bad, but it does have some slight undulations right here. And that's kind of how I've noticed with the majority of this map here. You do end up with locations. Let's kind of cut back over here. You do end up with, oh boy, some slight undulations going around on the map, but it's overall it's not unbearable. There's just enough to make you feel like it's a real place as opposed to a super flat chunk of land. I mean, as you can see, this one's pretty flat, but you have a hill coming up and down and getting yourself out and about. And here is that forestry area. I think we're going to we'll take a look at that in just a second. I want to stop. Sorry, I'm in your way. I want to take a look at this here really quick. So we do have this little carpentry area, I guess is the best way to call it. This is where you have, well, not carpentry, you got your carpentry there, you got your oil factory right there. I guess the best way to look at this is like a little industrial park. There is another section of the map that has more of this set up. You got your sugar mill here, and it's kind of how it's set up, where you have all of your factories and everything all kind of in one location. To me, I find that to be kind of convenient to have everything all right there, so you don't have to take and run stuff around all over the place, trying to do all that guesswork. Pretty darn slick. But now taking a look here at the forestry area, there's not a lot of trees. I'm not gonna lie, guys, there's not a lot of trees here in this forestry area. It's not very densely populated with trees. So you'll make decent money off of everything you have here. You're not going to get rich by any means. So what you're probably going to end up wanting to do here with this is you're probably going to end up wanting to, if you cut all that stuff down, you're probably going to want to end up going ahead and replanting. I think that's your only real option. Now down over here, now this is one thing that is on the map. I think I may have mentioned it, may not have. This is a selling location right here. Kind of looks like the hay barn or whatever you want to call it from the packs that you have, but this is actually a selling station where you can buy seed, lime, and fertilizer. Now, I did a little test on this, and it actually is cheaper to buy all of your stuff through here. I tested it out on all the game modes, and it's actually cheaper to get stuff here. So when you buy seed here, it's about 80, not 80% cheaper, but it's 80% of the total cost compared to buying stuff at the store. So as an example, for seed, you would end up paying $7,200 for 8,000 liters. Here, you'd end up only paying $5,759. So it is cheaper. Like I said, it's about 80% the whole cost. Lime is the same thing. It's about 80% the whole cost. Now, when it comes to solid fertilizer, it's only about 67% of the normal cost. So that's pretty darn good. Fertilizer, definitely a cheap way to go ahead and buy stuff here. So keep that in mind. If you're buying stuff from the store, you're probably better off buying it in bulk here. To be 100% honest with you guys, it's going to be way cheaper in the long run to buy everything right there. So keep that in mind when you're on here, you're rocking and rolling, and you're wanting to save yourself a couple bucks. Unless you're made of money, then it doesn't matter. It just does not matter at all. Oh, man. And as you can see, again, you have some undulation, you have some hills, some rise, but ultimately, I don't think any of the hills or bumps or undulations, whatever you want to call them, I don't think there's anything on here that's so drastic that you're going to really need to oversize any of your equipment. You're just not going to have to do that at all. So keep that in mind when you're out here. Pretty much what you want is what you're going to need to buy, and that's it. So here is another one of those little factory areas. Right in here, this is where you have the other half, essentially, of the rest of the stuff you need to make bits and pieces for doing production. It's a nice little setup in here, not too shabby. They don't have everything spread out across the map. When I first took a look at this, I'm like, it's, why would you do it that way? But after you get out here and take a look at it and I think about it, it's kind of convenient to have all of this stuff in one area, especially when it comes to, I don't know, not necessarily doing like an auto drive or something like that. You can have somebody come out here and drop your stuff off, and you're doing pretty darn good. So here is the BGA, and it's all a custom-looking BGA that we got going on here. And this guy is only $437,000 or $435,000. So if you want to grab this, it's up to you. It's going to be expensive right off the bat, but considering how cheap all the prices of the fields are, you probably can go ahead and swing it. It probably is not going to be the end of the world, so as you go along here, again, we're taking a look at these fields, and they're not bad priced. You do have a little tent over there for camping. You can't really camp in it. That'd be kind of neat if you could put up a little sleeping area, but you can't. Another sell point up here, and then we're going to kind of jog ourselves into town here so we can take a look at things. Traffic is pretty intense. It's pretty rough, so you got to keep your eyes open for that. But I want to take you up over here behind the gas station, because this right here is where all your purchased vehicles and material that are going to end up showing up. It's going to pop up right over here. If you go to reset anything, this is exactly where it's going to end up going. So like I said, you do have your shop right here. You do have a little mechanical place right here. Not too shabby at all. You do have one of your sell points back over here. Now this is kind of a neat little area, I personally find, because you're going to have to kind of back into here. You could, instead of coming this way, maybe come around the way I went, and then you could just back in a little bit easier, but you're going to have to back into this. So if you're not very good at backing up those articulating trailers like that, you may want to look at getting one that has a fixed and it doesn't have those front wheels that'll spin on you. Now coming back over here, as you can see, like I said, it's big enough where you can make a turnaround there, but you're really going to have to watch the size of everything. Pretty much medium to small sized equipment is all you're going to be able to really handle and be able to do anything within here, just because of the restrictions of the roads and the settings, the scenery, I should say, not settings. You really just don't have a lot of room at all. So here you go. Here is your bakery over here. That's one of the two places that are productions that are not back off in those other areas. You have the spinnery, or not the spinnery, the fabric store, or whatever you want to call it here. Oops. Well, that can let you change your wardrobe just by going there. This is what I want to go to. The tailor shop. The tailor shop. Oh, man. Super cool. Super, super cool. And then, yeah, there's just some nice scenery around the town as you go as well. Not too shabby. When I'm playing the game, the way things look at the town, I really don't even pay attention to the towns too much, just because, for the most part, unless you have to drive in there to buy something or sell something or drop some stuff off, they're for the most part irrelevant. But I did want to come over here, do a little jumping from stone to stone. Not too shabby, not too shabby. And then we come over here, and supposedly, in theory, this is Callie's house on the lake shore. Not too shabby at all. And I'm not sure how my German is. It could be a little off, but I think this goes ahead and says, "Welcome to spring. Switch off for a moment, calm down, and recharge your batteries. Then you'll be ready again for the madness out there." Oh, I tell you what, super, super cool, super, super cool. I think we're going to go ahead and put our spring hats on for a little bit and fly up into the air like the wind blows us around and take a look to see what the world has to offer. Alright, so here we go. Let's jump up into the sky and take a look around. Oh man, so we do have this nice big lake right here. It does feed off and have that river going through town. Not too shabby at all. So here's, again, what it looks like from up above. Little compact. It's a little compact. But I think, like I said before, it was done in kind of a neat little way where you have the capability, even though it is kind of tight, it gives you that unique challenge. That challenge of having to figure out how to get from point A to point B, and you need to think about it, you know. You can't just go ahead and ramrod through here with the biggest equipment that you can buy, the biggest equipment that you can find, but because that's not what this map is for. Like I said before, this map here is for medium to small sized equipment, because there's medium-ish to small fields. I think a good challenge for this map would be to see how much money you could actually make off of it. I don't know. What's the best crop you could do on here? But tell you what, comment down below. What do you think that you could do on this map? What could your first thing, your first action be? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Maybe that's what you're gonna want to try out on this map. I'm not too sure. Oh, but I tell you what, I would definitely download this one. This one definitely looks like a slick map to me. Definitely looks like a slick map to me. But you don't have to take my word for it. Download it for yourself. Let me know what you think about it. And if you guys are liking what you're hearing, liking what you're seeing, go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure you turn the notification bell on and have it set to all. That way you know when this and other videos are coming out. Go ahead and help the channel out. Hit that subscription. Share this with somebody who likes Germany. Or German stuff. I don't know. Or spring. There you go, spring. Share this with somebody who likes spring. Oh my goodness, guys. Until I see you again. Thanks for stopping by.